The rand has recovered a little since the explosive allegations levelled at South Africa last Thursday by the USA ambassador here, Reuben Brigety, convinced that arms were given to Russia in December last year when the Lady R cargo ship docked at Simonstown Naval Base. The Presidency since denying that any arms were supplied, but questions remain about exactly what happened. And this diplomatic fallout has already had direct implications economically. Our rand tumbling last week to some of its lowest levels ever. Well, let's look at this now with Stuart Theobold, Chair of Research Consultancy Intellidex. Thank you so much for joining us. The Finance Minister's just been on speaking about a range of issues, but of course also talking about this matter of Lady R. Busi Mavuso, a BLSA CEO, earlier saying the government has to act really quickly to clear up the uncertainty over this because it's causing real problems in our markets. Finance Minister saying we've actually worked quite quickly. We only started looking at this in January. We've got someone looking into it, Sydney Mufamadi. Where do you stand on whether government is acting quickly enough to manage this or not?
I think the answer is clearly not quickly enough. We have a serious financial market impact of what's happened. You could see it in bond yields. Government's debt is trading significantly worse off than where it was a week ago. And that means a real cost to government, right? When debt has to be rolled over, it's going to be at higher yields, and that is going to consume more of the national budget. So the Finance Minister, I think, will be well aware that it is very important to calm markets as soon as possible. Now, we have to wonder why a faster resolution hasn't been brought to the table. There might well be reasons for that. It might be that there is no simple way to provide a resolution. We have to just push government to come to the table and deal with this matter as fast as possible.
The rand, I think, has improved slightly since last Thursday, but still significantly lower. You can give me the latest on that. Is this going to become the new normal for our rand? These levels where it's at, sort of 19 rand plus to the dollar, 23 rand plus to the pound, is this going to be where we sit for a while, do you think?
Look, it really depends on what actions are taken and what information comes to the market. You're right, the rand blew out to the worst ever level to the dollar, over 19 rand 30 towards the end of last week. It's recovered a little bit, trading now about 19 rand 10. But this is this is not the level I think that we would have expected the currency to price at just a week ago. And we don't want to see this as a secular change that is sustained. We need to see some proper change happening.
Yeah. And do you think that it could improve? You have a little visitor, and we always welcome young ones.
I have an invader, sorry.
Don't worry, I've interviewed Justice Edwin Cameron with a cat, so your little one is more than welcome. I want to speak about the long-term prospects for the rand. Do you, some analysts are saying it may well just ease off. Do you think that this issue with the USA is the single biggest driver of the dip at this point? If that is resolved, could we see us going right back to the previous levels?
Look, we can definitely recover if we take seriously what's happened. So if there is a strong diplomatic effort by government to reassure Western allies, and we talk a lot about the United States, but let's not make it only about the United States, because European, UK allies will take seriously the lead that is shown now. Now, if there is an appropriate investigation into what happened in Simonstown, there are all kinds of questions. Even on the most optimistic scenario, something strange went on. We need answers on that. And it must be, if the law was broken, which if arms were exported without the consent of the National Committee on Conventional Arms Control, then that is illegal. And prosecutions must happen. So all of that needs to happen, and if it happens effectively, we will see pressure coming off the financial markets. We'll see reassurance among Western allies, and we'll see, more normal economic conditions reflected in the currency.
Yeah. Of course, this is the most immediate crisis, but there are so many other pressures on us. I mean, globally, there's a whole lot of factors which we can't do a ton about. But our local situation regarding load shedding and the instability of our power grid. What is the global market sentiment about doing business with South Africa these days? Has it cooled markedly, or is it pretty much the same as it always was? It's seen as an emerging market. There's always going to be a bit of risk.
Look, it is an emerging market. There's always a bit of risk. I must say this diplomatic fallout with Russia is one that has not been priced in until now. So investors are used to the load shedding story. They're familiar with debt levels. There are most of the risk factors that investors would normally consider. But the Russia diplomatic fallout situation really came from left field. That is not one that had been priced into markets already. And it's one we can resolve, I think, more easily than other risk factors that concern international investors. Emerging markets investment is risky. So investors, of course, would have been in Russia when Ukraine happened, and that is a worst-case scenario. South Africa can hold its own against the risks presented in other markets, Turkey, Brazil, and so on. And we really need to just reassure markets on this new risk that really wasn't a factor until a week ago.
Thank you so much for speaking to us this evening. Much appreciated. Stuart Theobold, who's Chair of Research Consultancy Intellidex. And now let's move